Since 1992, member states of the European Union have collectively formed a large network of protected areas called Natura 2000 network. This network is intended to conserve habitats and species of conservation concern according to the EU Birds and Habitat directives. On land, this network covers 26% of terrestrial surfaces and addresses all terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems. Despite this, there are still some gaps in coverage. Some species and ecosystems have not enough of the range protected by the sites. Many of them are insufficiently resourced, they are poorly connected and often too small. For instance, 70% of them are smaller than 1 km square, making them vulnerable to human disturbances. Marine protected areas also face similar challenges, including gaps in coverage. To address these gaps, the EU has set ambitious targets of protecting at least 30% of terrestrial and marine areas, including one-third of them strictly so. These designations will require coordination between countries because protection targets had to be reached for each ecosystem at the level of biogeographical regions, typically encompassing multiple countries. The priorities will be in ensuring sufficient coverage of less protected habitats and species and those that have unfavorable conservation status or declining trends. The European Commission guidance on protected area designations recognizes the importance of connecting these sites, both locally, nationally, and across borders, to ensure resilience of the network and favor gene flow between subpopulations. Conserved areas are also intended to provide essential ecosystem services, such as wildlife watching and other forms of recreation, as well as food provision. New protected area designations and the green infrastructure around them will have to ensure the sufficient supply of these services, especially where they're most needed. But how can national and subnational government agencies and conservation NGOs realize this ambition? Thankfully, there is plenty of guidance and expertise around, but the EU has also funded a project, NaturaConnect, to complement these knowledges and to provide support to European and national agencies in planning conservation interventions that achieve a coherent and resilient trans-European nature network. The project is rooted in the concepts of scientific excellence, co-design, and capacity building. It puts the best data, knowledge, models, and decision support tools at the service of decision makers and practitioners. The main project outputs will be spatial blueprints for what a trans-European nature network should look like, as well as more fine-scale analysis in 6 case studies. We will be using systematic conservation planning principles to identify different spatial configurations of protected areas and green infrastructure that satisfy EU policies and national contexts as well as stakeholder preferences. The outputs of the project will be disseminated and iterated in constant dialogues with national, regional, and European practitioners. We look forward to engage with the scientific community, local and national NGOs, and other stakeholders to address the many challenges as well as opportunities ahead in protecting biodiversity in Europe through area-based conservation measures.